few words about our agenda for today. So we will have very deep diving to our the hottest tips of data science career. We are in 1 month before New Year, so we prepared this session in order to give you advices and tips how to start 2022 in 1 month already. And after that, we will have the practical session with Andrew and a Q&A session, of course, as well. We asked you to prepare your questions, and you have this amazing opportunity today to address these questions to our speakers. And in the end of our webinar today, we will announce the winner of our previous A-Lab talent session, and the lucky winner will get the CV, personal CV validation. So please stay till the end. And of course, as we promised, thanks to our sponsor Pact, we will make a book giveaway as always, and the luckiest one will get not only knowledge, not only tips, but also the book. Okay, so let me see if we have some technical issues. Please try to turn on your camera. I think you can do it right now. Yes.
Yeah.
Hello.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, now.
Okay.
Now we can see you. Yeah,
Fine.
Perfect. Amazing.
I think, sorry, there was small technical glitch. Probably I was not allowed to open the video, but now I think it's working fine. Yeah. Thank you.
Amazing. Okay, so I give you turn, Andrew, please. Andrew will host today's session, and let's start.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Dr. AngShuMan, for joining today. We are going to be looking at what are the top tips every data scientist needs to know in 2022. So today during our workshop, we'll find out about industry trends, key roles and skills, as well as useful website and tools. So yeah, if I could just give a little bit of an introduction for you, Dr. AngShuMan is a data scientist and business leader with over 12 years of great experience and leading Fortune 100 and unicorn startup companies. He is currently head of data science at Sony Research India. And prior to Sony, you were holding leadership roles at Disney, Target, Grab, Spice, and Wipro as well. He has a Ph.D. and MBA topper from XLRI and a computer engineering graduate, now serving as a visiting professor at top institutes such as IIT, IIM, and XLRI. And Dr. AngShuMan is also an official member of the prestigious Forbes Technology Council and received the LinkedIn Spotlight Award as one of the most inspiring leaders. So we are super stoked to have you. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Andrew and Newton and Yulia. It's an honor and privilege to be part of this session. I'm looking forward to the discussion with you, Andrew. Thank you.
Totally. And, you know, we're all just kind of wondering if you could just tell us a little bit about your career path, because I mean, my gosh, you've been at so many great companies and have such a rich, you know, educational background. So we would just love to hear a little bit more about that.
Sure. And I think a lot of people also ask me, you know, how I came into data science, and, you know, they try to relate to my career. So I'll probably give that background as well, right? So as I tell, like in my case, probably I got a bit lucky and the data science as a career for me emerged. Why I say so? Because if we look at a very fundamental level, Andrew, I think data science has three key components, right? First of it is mathematics or statistics. That forms the foundation. Whether you're dealing with small data or big data, you know, you need to have your maths and stats ready.
Right.
Second key pillar that you need is a computer programming, right? Without that, yes, you can do, add 2 + 2, but when you're processing so much of data in today's world, you're trying to create model with, so many customer data, etc. It's impossible. And hence computer science or computer programming forms the second pillar. And third, equally important pillar is the domain of the business knowledge, right? So you're, of course, as part of Newton, probably working with many Fortune 100 or 500 clients. And it is equally important to understand the domain of the business. You may know your tools and technology and math and stats, but without the understanding the problem, without understanding the variables, without understanding the domain, it is very difficult to provide a solution to a client or solve a problem. So these three are the foundation of data science. Now, why did I mention when you asked me about my career and why I said I got lucky? Because at some point of time, due to my education or experience, I got very good exposure to all of these areas at different point of time. Why? So I did my engineering long back in computer science. That time, of course, in 2005 and all, we did not have data science or even analytics, so as to say. But I did, computer science graduation because I felt in the early 200 that, computers are going to change everything. Internet was just coming up at that point of time. And that's why, I did computer science. And then I worked in the software engineering for 2-3 years as part of Wipro, supporting many Fortune 100 clients. And then I realized, yes, I had the good knowledge about the computer programming, but probably I did not have enough knowledge of the domain and the business. And that's when I decided to pursue my MBA coursework at XLRI, which is one of the top MBA colleges within India. And then I also did my PhD, and part of my PhD, I got to learn about, deeper level mathematics, statistics, some tools like R and all. So, and then of course, after that, I have continued to work. I worked for Disney, then Target, Grab, and now, heading data science for Sony as part of Sony Research India. So definitely I got to learn about mathematics, statistics. I got to learn about the domain of the business. I got to learn about computer science at different point of time in my career. And that definitely culminated finally when I got into data science. So I think anyone who is looking for a career in data science, these are the fundamental skills. Of course, me and Andrew will have more discussion on some of these topics later today, but I think that's how it emerged for me, and that's how I got into data science. And of course, kindly, I'm very happy as I'm leading the data science team here at Sony. So I was one of the first members of the R&D unit in India. So I got the opportunity to set up the R&D center as well as set up the entire data science team here for Sony. Over to you, Andrew.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think that's really insightful as well. I mean, looking not only at the mathematics and the statistics, but the business domain knowledge from your MBA experience is really fascinating. I myself, went towards that, going from undergraduate in business to a master's degree in business, which really just helped look at the different business functions, whether it be human resources, supply chain, finance and accounting, et cetera. All of those different business units definitely have very interesting AI potential for use cases, right?
Absolutely.
And so I really appreciate you highlighting that. So maybe you could just help a little bit with us to understand kind of what are some of the key roles in data science that you can highlight, and maybe what are like some of the key skills. I know you had mentioned a few of them, but maybe if we could just dive a little bit deeper, that'd be awesome.
Sure. So that's a very good question. And when people think of data science, people just think about data scientist, because that is probably the most glamorized or so-called sexiest role in data science, as published in Harvard Business Review. But I'm very grateful that you asked me the question, because I think we have a lot of participants for this session, and many of them may be new to the field, or they are in another field and trying to get into data science. And they're very much confused that should I only become a data scientist, or is there any other role which is more suitable for me? So of course, data scientist is probably one of the most popular role within the data science domain. And this role is one role which requires a lot of different kind of skill. And in fact, nowadays, sometimes when I myself go through the job description, I feel, they are not looking for some human, but they're looking for a Superman to fill the role, because they're asking all kind of skills. But yes, if you want to get into data science and become a data scientist, you need to have a lot of different skills. And what are they? So I discussed some of them, probably I'll discuss more of it, but this is like a more of a full stack kind of person who should be able to work with the business people, who should be able to create algorithms, who should come up with new solutions and create the end-to-end system, no software engineering, work with a statistician. So a lot of it. I'll discuss probably exact skills probably later. But data scientist in summary is someone who is a full stack person, has all the skills and can solve the problem end to end, right? So that's our data scientist. However, that's not the only role, and that is probably the more important point for our audience. So Andrew, you came from probably a management background. You did your graduations in, business. Then you mentioned you did your MBA. So there may be a lot of our audience who have similar kind of career path, who have done their commerce or business studies, and they now want to get into data science. So is it possible? My answer is very much yes. Why? Because data scientist is just one role, but we have roles like business analyst. And this is a very common role across the industries and across geographies. So I think you are in San Francisco in the Valley, you will have a lot of business analyst and analyst kind of role. We have in India, and I've worked in Singapore, everywhere. Analyst is a very popular kind of role. And analysts have mainly two types of analyst role. One is a business analyst, other is a data analyst. So people right after their graduation in masters or masters in MBA, they can get in a very good business analyst role. So consulting companies like PwC, Deloitte, all of them hire for this kind of role. Even other companies, even a McKinsey and all, have a consultant role who has a large degree of overlap with the business analyst role. So what do? So their main strength is their understanding of the business and domain. And Andrew, you right now rightly pointed out that yes, we have different business functions, like you have marketing, HR, sales, a lot of different functions within the business. But not only that, we also have different industries. For example, you have technology industry, retail industry, manufacturing, pharma. So people may have understanding or knowledge about the industry. So your domain knowledge, both from the functional domain as well as from different industry, that knowledge becomes extremely helpful for a business analyst role. Why so? Because the business analyst will work very closely with the business stakeholder. For example, Andrew, say you are heading, let's assume that marketing for, say, Newton. And now you have some marketing problem, which customers to target, how to target them, which platform should I use? Should I go to Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn, right? All these questions you may need an answer to. So you as a business stakeholder or marketing head of the company may go to your business analyst and tell, hey, look, I need to run some good campaign for Newton. So what should I do? Should I do a webinar, or should I just run a Facebook ad, or should I do an Instagram story? What is the right way to do? And you don't just want the answer, but you want it to be backed by some analysis and data. So what the business analyst does then, convert the business problem into a data or analytical problem. After that, they can work with the data analyst or the data scientist, depending on the problem. So if the problem is simple, just gathering the data, creating a visualization, doing some insight work, data analyst can do that work. But if it requires creating some model, for example, you want to run automated ads on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn based on your budget and target criteria, then a data scientist will be required to work with the business analyst to create that model. And once all this is done, the business analyst comes back to you, say that, hey, Andrew, you're my marketing head. You got me this problem. I worked with our data team. These are the main insights. These are our recommendations. This is the platform you should use. This is the budget you should have. And probably these are model also you can use, right? So business analyst will be an excellent profile for someone who has very good business understanding, but they may not be expert about the data, or they may not be expert about the mathematics and statistics part of it, right? Whereas data analyst, he or she should have very good understanding of the data. So business and data analyst may work together in most of the cases. So business analyst gives the business understanding, data analyst gives the data from databases. They should know database, SQL queries, RDMA, all those concepts, and they work together. So it makes sense to you, Andrew? Any questions you have till now?
No, I mean, that's perfect. I like that you highlighted not only the domain knowledge from the business function perspective, but also from the industry perspective, right? And so when we all look at our careers and where we're going, right, it can be very advantageous, if you can specialize in a specific industry, for example, whether it be retail or oil and gas or services and things like that. And then each of those industries have very specific business functions that may work differently in different industries, right?
Absolutely.
And I mean, you don't necessarily have to hold yourself down to one industry. I mean, of course, through your career, explore, right? And that can actually give you additional, information and knowledge if you're working across industries as well. So I think the breakdown between, the end business user, the business analyst, the data analyst, the data scientist, that whole work stream is extremely fascinating, and there can definitely be overlaps. In some cases, if you're a startup, you may have to put your hat on and do all of them, but hopefully if if you have some budget, you can bring in some additional people. And so what would you recommend would be
I just want to add probably a couple of more roles based on what you mentioned. So these three are definitely the most popular one: data scientist, business analyst, and data analyst. And most of the people get into business analyst or data analyst role, and then gradually they shift to data science kind of role. However, as you mentioned, if companies have budget and have a bigger team, there can be 2-3 other roles they can consider. And similarly, our candidates may also consider those roles. So which are they? So BI analyst or business intelligence analyst is another interesting role, which has large overlap with the data analyst or business analyst role. But primarily, these people, for solving the same kind of analytical problem, they use a lot of visualization and tools. And what are those most commonly used tools? Like I'm sure you must have seen Tableau or Power BI. So when you want to do the analysis and automate it, create a chart or automated dashboard. For example, we said your earlier problem was deciding a marketing campaign. In that case, a data analyst or business analyst have to work on that ad hoc problem. But there can be certain things which are regular thing, your KPIs, that how many people came to my website, how much sales I had. So those are ongoing processes, for which it's probably better to have a dashboard where those numbers are automated. You can just go have a look in the morning and accordingly take other decision. So that is where BI analysts are very good with visualization, dashboard, and automation of that. Fifth role that I want to mention, which is coming up especially nowadays with the big data and volume of the data, is data or ML engineer. So whereas data scientists may know the model, probably they created the POC model for 1,000 users, and now you want to scale it to, say, for example, for Sony, we have many products where we have 100 million or 200 million users. So probably data scientists created the model for 1,000 users. Now, how do you scale it up for 100 million user? And God help you if you're working for companies like Google or Facebook, where you have billions of users hitting your app all the time, then it is a challenge of scale. It is a challenge of engineering, and data and ML engineer can really work together with data scientists to solve the problem. What will be their additional role? So they'll be probably getting the data in the right format, create the data pipeline, do the data quality check, and also automate the model and scale up the model for production implementation. And this is another very good role in terms of salary or career growth. And I think this role will grow very fast. And last but not the least is a data science or analytics manager. So kindly, for example, the role I am heading, I would probably call it a managerial role rather than a pure data scientist role. Because yes, I may do some hands-on work, but I have to manage a team of statisticians, research scientists, data analysts, etc. And I have to get the work done by them, right? And hence, once you progress, especially someone like you who have got very good business understanding, have an MBA degree, and now you have good understanding of analytics and data science, etc., probably then that person can progress to a managerial role within data science or analytics. So these 5 or 6 are broadly the most important roles. So based on the preference and the comfort level of the audience or the participants, you can consider different role. Other than data scientists, there are a lot of other roles. Please explore and find a suitable one for yourself. Over to you, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, that totally makes sense. I mean, as enterprises go across their data journey, right, or their AI journey, they're going to be in different phases, whether they're in exploration or they're just getting started. Maybe they've just done one implementation, or even to what you were talking about, Facebook and Google, full on maturity,
Absolutely.
Massive amounts of data, as well as all kinds of different algorithms and machine learning, implementations. Depending on where they're at in the journey, they may need to bring on these different roles, right? And there's different overlaps, but there's definitely a lot of room in the market for people to explore these different roles, right? So
Absolutely,
I think,
right.
you definitely highlighted even more areas that we can go into for, not only our career, but our own personal interests, right? I think another interesting thing that you brought up was kind of the data preparation perspective, right? Because if you don't have really good data going into your models, then you're not going to have very good predictions, or you're not going to have very good, analytics and things like that. So that was really great. So how would you recommend people be able to have like fast development of some of these skills to maybe get into some of these areas, whether it be like books or websites or influencers we can follow or things like that? Of course, please everyone follow Dr. AngShuMan, of course. But yeah, any tips would be wonderful.
Sure. Thank you, Andrew. That's a very good question, and I think it naturally follows from the discussion that we just have. So once we know that there are many different roles, now how do we build the skills and what resources can we use, right? So excellent question. Thank you for that, Andrew. So definitely, I think the way I see it, not just in case of data science career, but any career, or even if you're deciding your company's marketing strategy, I would take a very similar approach philosophically, right? So I'll look at where I am at X, and then I decide where I want to go, that is Y, right? And this is the path that I have to bridge. And my skills and experience will help me bridge this path, right? So for example, in my case, also what I did, for example, when I graduated, I did my PhD and joined corporate world. And then, 7-8 years back, I saw that data science was emerging as a very interesting new field. Then first thing I did is analyze where I am, what are the skills I have. Then I analyze for a data scientist or what are the skills I need to have, correct? And I say, okay, these are the skills, computer science I have because I had that degree. Those of you who don't have probably need to develop that, right? And then I had some knowledge of statistics, but I had to brush it up. I saw there is a lot of development in ML. So I did some courses on machine learning to, upgrade that part of the knowledge. And business and domain knowledge, of course, as you work, I think the kind of experience you will get, nothing, no textbook or anything can, theory knowledge can never replace that. Andrew, Julia, you have been in the business, you know that very well. We probably read a lot of books, fat books during our, college days, but definitely with experience, we learn a lot about the business or the domain knowledge. Now, specifically, now I'll probably go one level deeper and say specific skills also within these broader skills and where can you learn them. So I initially mentioned about mathematics and statistics, but that's a very vast and broad area. So do I need to learn everything in maths and stats? Probably that is very good to do, but maybe too overwhelming for a lot of us. So I'll tell you specifically what areas of mathematics and statistics are very relevant for data science. So within mathematics, there are two areas you should learn at least the basics. And I'm sure many of us have learned during our college days or undergrad days, but we have not practiced and forgotten. And those two areas are, one is calculus, especially differential calculus or derivative. Because if you think at a very high level, every machine learning problem is an optimization problem. And what is optimization? Optimization is nothing but maximizing or minimizing a function. And when you try to, for example, maximize a function or minimize a function, derivative is the way to go. So you say first order derivative set to 0, second order derivative is less than 0, then it is function is maximized. And similarly, if first order derivative is 0, second order derivative is positive, then function is minimized. So that basic concept of derivative of differential calculus is very useful. Second area of mathematics that you should learn is linear algebra. Why so? Because most of the time when you are dealing with big data problem, we try to portray the data or represent the data in a matrix format, right? Or a vector. So you can say the output variable is a vector and input variable is a matrix of dimension, 1000 multiplied by 1 million or whatever. So you represent the data with matrix, and when you are multiplying matrix or doing other operation with matrix, having the knowledge of linear algebra is nothing but, doing the operations with vector and matrices, right? So knowledge of that will be very essential, especially when you are dealing with a lot of data, big data problem, right? So if you know how to multiply two matrices in the optimized manner, it will save you a lot of cost, lot of time, lot of effort. Without that, probably if you just want to multiply two matrix or add two matrix, we'll write, simple for loop up across the rows, across the column, and that will not be efficient, right? So definitely two areas of mathematics, summarizing, differential calculus, broad calculus, and linear algebra. And within statistics, you should definitely learn descriptive statistics, which deals with mean, median, mode, standard deviation, variance, etc. That's kind of basic. It is a must-have. Second is inferential statistics, where we interpret or we do the hypothesis testing, right? So we have some data about the past, that is descriptive statistics. But I want to create an hypothesis and I want to test it. For example, I say, if I invest more effort or time on LinkedIn, my ROI will go up. That's a hypothesis, right? Then I need to test it. So I need to have the knowledge how to test hypothesis. There are different probability distributions also involved there, right? But definitely knowledge of inferential statistics is very important. And last area within this umbrella is probability theory, especially when you're predicting the future. When you're saying predictive analytics, most of the machine learning we're using for predictive analytics. What will be my sales? What will be my cost? What will be my employee turnover, right? So all these are prediction problem, and future is always probabilistic. Future is never deterministic, right? So nobody could predict that COVID will come. And now that, we are talking about Omicron and other things, we can predict that, okay, probably there may be a third wave or fourth wave, right? But nobody certainly can say it will happen or not happen. So future is always probabilistic. So learn probability theory to get into deeper of predictive analytics. Now that is about mathematics, statistics, that is a foundation. In the computer programming, I learned, C, C++, Java, etc. in those days. But for data science, currently Python is the popular choice. So definitely, if you have not learned any computer programming language, please do learn Python. Another option can be R. And definitely, there are a lot of interesting tools coming up even for the AutoML space. We'll probably have a demo of Newton, which I used and I personally really liked. So definitely after some time, probably Andrew or the team will show you about that. So either learn Python, R, or some AutoML tool like Newton, or Google has certain tool like that. So that you can get your computer science or programming part done there. And of course, for business domain knowledge, reading some books will give you the starting point. But once you do a project or work in the industry, that will be the base point. And to answer the last part of your question, definitely if there are students who are attending the session, they can choose their elective or courses accordingly, probably can do a master's in data science or machine learning. But that is not the only way to learn. Nowadays, there are so many good resources. We all at any point of our career, even experienced people, can learn and gain the skills. And where can you learn? Definitely, if you want to learn the theoretical skills or conceptual knowledge, I would definitely recommend you to check Coursera and edX. They have courses from the top universities in the world. There are excellent courses from Stanford, Harvard, MIT, and I myself have done many such courses. So those will be taught by the actual professors of those colleges who are actually teaching those courses in Stanford or Harvard, right? So definitely do check them for theoretical and knowledge and conceptual knowledge. But those of you who are looking for more practical application side of the thing, I would also recommend that you check Udemy. Udemy has a lot of courses by practitioners who have been there, done that, and they give very good practical perspective to it, give you actual code, workbook to check and practice with. And last website that I want to mention about is DataCamp. So other websites that I mentioned, Coursera, edX, or Udemy, you can learn any subject. Data science is one of them, but you can learn history, geography, philosophy, whatnot. But focused on data science, there is this website called DataCamp, where again, you have a lot of good courses on Python, R, SQL, etc., which are primarily focused on only data science. So definitely these are some of the websites definitely you can check. And there are a lot of good material on YouTube as well. And definitely on LinkedIn and other websites also have a lot of influencers who are sharing a lot of good content. And I do also share on a daily basis a lot of free resources. So those of you who are interested, please feel free to follow. Over to you, Andrew.
Yeah, that's great. I think just having a quick breakdown of, hey, here are some of the potential skills that I need to understand to move towards a data science career is really cool. Like those are like the tips and tricks, like, hey, let me just go after those real quick, right? Instead of like spreading very wide and trying to learn all kinds of different things, right? So definitely appreciate kind of your domain expertise and like, hey, maybe just go after these ones. And then of course, here at Newton, we're helping, democratize artificial intelligence. So, those people who maybe aren't moving towards all of those mathematical skills, but maybe are focusing on the domain knowledge and can leverage the automated machine learning platforms in order to, get to the business problems quickly is really what we're, trying to help achieve. But it never hurts to, learn these skills and things like that as well. I thought it was interesting. You had mentioned Python as one of the, main, coding languages to go after. I've also heard that similarly, it can be leveraged in a lot of different ways, not only just in data science as well. So definitely appreciate those tips. And then also, those open source courses from Coursera, as well as DataCamp, very interesting. And I think to your point, YouTube is very interesting. Even, in my past, I had a quick interest in, creating, video games, right? And you can go into YouTube and use Unity, and they'll just say, hey, this is the code you can copy and paste, and you can get a character running around quickly, right? So, that theme of automation is very interesting, and as we move forward over the next 5 years, we'll see more and more of these things becoming automated so that we can focus more on the business problem rather than, just putting our heads down and coding and things like that. So definitely appreciate that. So those are kind of the hard skills, right, that we were talking about. What about some of the soft skills for data scientists? And, is it important for them to develop those soft skills as well, whether it be, leadership or critical thinking, et cetera?
Yeah, definitely. That's another very good question. And interestingly, in many places, people ignore it. And that's why, in spite of having all the, hard skills, people suffer. So I'm very happy that you asked me that question. So of course, we discussed about the hard skill, and definitely in the job description or interviews, those will be checked time and again. But definitely, if you want to be successful in the field, there are probably 3 more skills which are more on the softer side, which I think are extremely critical. Now, what are they? First among them is communication, right? And I can't highlight it anymore, because as you understand, as a data scientist, suppose you are my business stakeholder and I don't understand what is your business problem, right? Then the whole project is doomed. At the same time, I have solved the problem. I've created an outstanding model using state-of-the-art deep neural network, but I'm not able to convince you to put into production or use it for your use case. Then again, whole effort has gone down the drain. So communication is extremely critical, especially because as a data scientist or a leader of the team, you will work with very different kind of stakeholders. Some of them are business stakeholders who just care about the business ROI, right? So as a marketing head, you may say, hey, what is my marketing ROI? How many customers am I reaching? How many sales target am I fulfilling, right? So that's gonna be your KPI at the end of the day. Whereas when I'm working with a statistician, they want to use the state-of-the-art models, right? Research scientists, they want to publish paper in the top quality journals and conferences. When I'm working with the engineers, they want to build the best kind of system, which is very fast, scalable, and whatnot. So you're going to work with statistician, software engineers, business people, research scientists. So it is extremely critical to communicate well with them, understand their world, and every such people have their own language, vocabulary, and the way they communicate things, right? So it is very important to understand and communicate well with the different stakeholders. So communication is definitely the most important soft skill. Second, especially in the business context, is problem solving. Because if you are doing a PhD in data science, you can choose an abstract problem like, abstract algebra or, theoretical physics problem and solve it for your life. It may even fetch you a Nobel Prize, right? But if you are employed by some organization and they're paying you money, they expect some return out of it, and you are there to solve certain problems, right? So at the end of the day, we are using the tools, technology, models, but to solve some business problem, get the ROI, get some business objective achieved, right? So definitely problem solving is a very important skill. And this is something that develops over a period of time as you practice more and more. So problem solving is second soft skill that people should learn. And third and most critical is continuous learning. Because this field is changing very fast. If we did this session 3 to 5 years back, probably I'll be discussing about very different tools and technology. When I joined my PhD degree, we use a tool called SPSS, which was very popular at that point of time. In corporate, many people was using a tool called SAS. Some people were using MATLAB, right? And I remember in terms of computer programming, at one point of time, I was using mainframe system to do the processing. Then we moved to the computers, and now we are trying to use cloud or AWS for the processing, right? So the tools and technologies that we are talking about have changed a lot, and this is going to happen in the future. So continuous learning is the way to go. Those who entered the field, don't think that I have done a course, I have learned Python, and that is the end of day. No, today we have Python, tomorrow it may be Scala or Julia or something else, or as you mentioned, an AutoML tool like Newton may take over. So whoever is using the field, they should know the latest tools and technologies, and hence continuous learning is very critical.
Yeah, that's really great. So just to highlight that, so communication skills, being able to work with, different business units, different stakeholders, absolutely. Problem solving, looking at what are the different, issues that we're experiencing, within the enterprise, and how can we overcome those, leveraging the data that we have, and how much data we have is enormous. And then the continuous learning and upskilling, absolutely fundamental, right? I mean, if we're not constantly, looking at everything that's available in the market, then we're going to fall behind and not be able to, make those, leaps in our career. So for sure, I think all of those, different soft skills are extremely important, and appreciate you highlighting those for us as well. And so what can accelerate a data science career next year even more, right? So maybe what tools could be available? Because I know you had mentioned, hey, we may be, coding with this language now, and here we're moving to these languages. So, what are the different tools, or what do you see as the future to help with us to accelerate our careers?
So as I said earlier, future is always probabilistic. It is not deterministic. So I can only predict with certain probability, but it's impossible to predict perfectly. But as per the data that I have, I definitely think Python is going to continue for quite some time. It will be there. Machine learning will be there for quite some time. Deep learning is having a lot of interesting use cases, especially in the area of image, audio and video and text data. So not non-numeric data, right? So those trends will broadly continue. But two specific trends that I see can have very good impact, right? One of them is move towards a cloud computing platform. And this is something happening very fast. So we see AWS is the leader there. Azure has also become very big. Google Cloud is also growing, right? So we don't need a computer. We don't need a storage. We can just get an account in the cloud. You log into your account, your data is there. You create your model, you deploy your model. Everything can be done in the cloud. So definitely, those of you who are thinking of the future, especially 2022 and beyond, please do learn one cloud technology, maybe AWS or Azure. That will be immensely helpful to you. And second is something, and that's where I think Newton also comes into the place, is AutoML solution, right? And especially as you mentioned rightly, democratizing AI, because a lot of things that today we mentioned, be statistics, mathematics, linear algebra, matrix multiplication, or probability statistics, may be very scary to a common citizen, and they should not be they should not be kept away from this development of AI and ML, right? And that is where I think a tool like Newton, or even not only Newton, Google also has an AutoML tool. I think there is something like iRobot and few others, but and H2 also is doing pretty well, I believe, right? So this AutoML is a very interesting technology. I think, of course, it may not be able to solve all the problem where you need a lot of customization and new algorithm development from the scratch, but a lot of problem that we are solving are pretty standard. For example, a forecasting problem: how many PlayStations will sell in next few months? And same problem can be applied to a company like Target when you're trying to predict how many clothing item or electronics item will sell store. And the same can be case for a B2B company, say for your company, that how many customers or sales you'll get in next few months, right? So fundamentally, all these problems are a regression problem where you are trying to predict a continuous variable. Similarly, there can be a classification problem where you want to predict whether somebody will have COVID or not, right? Somebody will die or not, or somebody will get the particular job or not, right? It's a classification problem. So if your problem is very standardized and it is possible to codify the whole thing, AutoML tool like Newton can be extremely useful, I believe. I have personally used your tool. I found it really fascinating, especially for someone who is not coming with a lot of coding or statistical background. You just go enter the tool, and I'm sure after some time you'll show probably a demo, I believe. So, you'll be able to, I think audience will be able to see that you just go enter the tool, you upload your data, decide which is the prediction variable, which are the feature variable, it will do the exploratory analysis for you, it will create the model, do the evaluation, give you the metrics, so and you are ready to go without knowing what is happening behind the hood. And that is something probably your team and your product has already taken care of. So I think definitely cloud and AutoML tool are some of the two interesting development that is happening, and that can really actually expand the field and also democratize it, as you rightly pointed out. And I think that is the future. Over to you, Andrew.
Yeah, for sure. I really appreciate that. And all of the insights today. I've definitely enjoyed the sessions so far. And to your point, right? I mean, if we're still at the early exploring stage of artificial intelligence, if we're beginning to start to implement that across, all of the companies, in the world, whether they be small or big, right? There's a lot of problems that we can solve using, Auto ML and, some of these other tools that can, do the job sufficiently in order to get business results quickly without having to, do that heavy investment, right? But then to your other point as well, there's a lot of very advanced things when it comes to audio or video or images or certain things that need a lot of customization that, of course, we still do need that talent, right? And there's always a huge demand for data science talent within the market. So I think you pointed out rightly so. I mean, it's definitely a spectrum, right? And we just need to figure out like where in the spectrum we are and how can we leverage what we have now today to, get to, some results pretty quickly. And with that being said, yeah, that'd be great. I could quickly showcase the platform and kind of showcase how somebody could create a machine learning model with just a few clicks. And get started with that exploratory data analysis and some of those things that you may, take some time to get to. So yeah, if that would be fine with you.
Absolutely. As I mentioned, I personally used that tool. I really liked it. I'm sure our audience will also love it. So maybe if you can show some use case, how you can use that tool and maybe, do a walkthrough, that will be really wonderful.
Sure. Yeah, so we'll just spend a couple of minutes here. Right now, can you see my screen?
Yes, Andrew, we can see your screen.
Okay. All right, perfect. So this is the Newton platform. All of the solutions that we create are tile-based, so you can see some of the different solutions that I've built, whether it be bank marketing or predicting customer churn or satisfaction, or even whether an employee is going to leave or not. I will go ahead and create a new solution. So right here, we're going to do a Sony use case. So this is predicting whether somebody would purchase a device or not. So I can come in here. I have two data sets. One is my training data set and one is my test data set. So the training data set is all of the historical information that I have about the customer behavior and whether they purchased the item or not. So earlier what you had mentioned, a classification problem, so whether they purchased or not. So let's just take a quick look at the data set. So here we have gender, family influence, employment, the household income, age, so different demographics, and then whether they purchased the item or not. So 0 meaning they did not purchase, and 1 meaning they did purchase. So once you've prepared your data, got it all together, you just upload it and then press OK. And as you mentioned earlier, all we need to do is select the target variable. So in this case, it's whether they purchase or not. And here, the platform detected that it's a binary classification problem. In some cases, it may be regression, it may be multi-classification, and you can also select what type of metrics that you want. In this case, it is accuracy. So we'll just click Start Training. And here, everything will be done automatically for you. So we'll spin up some GPUs for training and all of that good stuff. We can also input our phone number so that we'll text you when the training is done. I've already trained this model so that we don't have to sit here and wait. It only takes a couple of minutes to train this particular model. But here you can see we have 100% training. It only took a couple of minutes to train. Here we have our model quality index. So this is just showing the quality of the model. In this case, we got a 96% accuracy. So this is a pretty good model that we have created. And then, so there are 3 steps. So your data set tab where you saw me upload the data, the training tab where you complete the training, and then finally the prediction tab. And this is kind of the interesting part. This is where we're going to take the new data that we have and we're going to want to predict whether somebody might purchase the item or not. And then the other piece of this is looking at what are the different things that are influencing the behavior of whether somebody's going to purchase or not, and are there certain business actions we can take to influence that. So here I've already clicked this easy button to enable predictions. And when you want to start predictions, you'll just come here and then upload your test data set. And this is all of the information about your customer, but not including whether they've purchased or not. So now this is when we're going to do the prediction. So I've already uploaded the file and created the predictions. So here, everything to the right is all of the information that we uploaded, and then everything here is what Newton has created. So if we look at this individual here, we have predicted that they will purchase the item, but we have a 56% probability. So one of the things that we have developed is a model interpreter that helps you understand why we've made the prediction and what are the different features that are influencing it. So here we have the 56% probability of purchase. And with this particular prediction, we have the top features that are influencing the prediction. So in this particular case, the monthly household income for this particular individual was $27,000. However, if we lower the monthly income to $10,926, there's a higher probability that they would have not purchased in this particular case.
So this
and we can.
This is very interesting. If you kindly allow me, I would like to add one comment. I think
Sure.
Since you have picked the PS5 use case, which is one of the flagship product from Sony. So all of you who love gaming, definitely PS5 is an awesome console. And I think I can completely relate to it because as per my knowledge, PS5 is priced at a quite premium level. It's not a cheap product to purchase. So logically or intuitively also it makes sense that those households who have enough money can probably buy a PS5. And that is probably in India also, like we have Sony business where we see, PlayStation is not selling as much. And what I tell people, it's not the problem. It's not that people don't love playing games in India, but probably, Sony products are priced at a very, high level, especially PS5. And of course, if the prices come down or India, income level goes up, probably people will probably like to purchase a PS5. So the comment that I wanted to make here is this really brilliant, that not just you're giving the prediction, but also some explanation to it. And this is something is very useful to business stakeholders who don't want to get into detail of mathematics, statistics, or the modeling, but they can, I think, very simply understand that person who has a certain household income and beyond a threshold, they have higher likelihood of purchasing a product, which is a premium product. So that's brilliant. Thank you. Over to you, Andrew.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate your comment as well. And then also from a business perspective, you talked a lot about, hey, if you're a marketing manager and who are we marketing to, right? This can help us get some insights on our target market and where we can maybe invest a little bit more. And when you look at where it's kind of steep here, each incremental change actually has a higher influence on the predicted value. So this is kind of the sweet spot, if you will. So every incremental change can influence the prediction as well. And then also for categorical data as well, if you don't have an influence from a friend, or if you do have an influence from a friend, with all the other factors in consideration as well, or whether you don't have a Sony device or you already do. So maybe, this particular individual, already had a Sony device, so maybe they have a higher loyalty and thus a higher probability of purchasing as well. So this can give us a little bit of insights and kind of the predictions that we're doing, and then what are the business insights we can take away as well. And then I just wanted to quickly show another feature which is fairly interesting, which is our feature importance matrix. So here we can see the features that are influencing the prediction the most. So the income, age, etc. We can also look at the bottom ones as well. So in this case, we only had 12 features, so there are only a few that didn't make a huge influence. And then also, one of the things to consider is when we create models and we're doing predictions, over time, our new data may change and no longer be relevant to the model that we've built. So we've put in a way to help manage the life cycle of your model. So if the new data that we're feeding into the model becomes less relevant, we'll indicate it here. And then lastly, we also provide automated exploratory data analysis. So this will just help you show, kind of a high level information about your data. So in this case, 180 people did not purchase, 139 did. How many rows and columns? And then from a continuous data perspective, we can look at the different features that would be influencing the predictions. So on the left here, this is monthly household income in relation to the target variable. So on the left here, we have a good distribution of people with less than 10,000, and then a good distribution with over 20,000. And then here on the right side, we can see whether 1, they purchased, or 0, they didn't purchase. So in this case, up to about 12,000 people both purchased and didn't purchase. And then above that, we didn't have purchased. So this can just give us some insight as well. We can also see how the different features are correlated with the target or correlated with other features as well. So yeah, just wanted to quickly showcase how you can kind of create a predictive model with just a few clicks. So yeah, I guess now we can definitely go into the Q&A. Yeah, unless you have any other comments you'd like to add before we go into the Q&A as well.
So that's really wonderful. I think I'm sure the audience also really liked, especially a lot of it you can do with Python and other tools, but I think the ease of use and without putting much effort, I think only effort he had to put was to explain everything, right? But those of us who will be using it, they can just upload the data, just make few clicks, and then you're ready to go, right? So that's really wonderful. I'm sure, some of the participants will try it out and they will also find it very good. So over to you, and maybe if you have questions, we can take those.
Yeah, definitely. And the platform is free to use. So all the features that I showed you, you can go in there and try it out yourself as well. There was one question, how can we use data science in civil engineering and rate analysis? I'm familiar with civil engineering. I'm not sure exactly what they mean by rate analysis, but if you want to take that question, that would be great.
Yeah, so I would also not claim myself to be an expert of civil engineering, but the way I see it, like till now, data science has been extremely useful for few industries. For example, for technology industry, the best names are like Google, Facebook, Amazon, etc. They have used a lot of it, and probably every product they are creating, there is AI ML built into it. Then there is retail industry. I've worked for Target, so I know firsthand also. So we had a lot of data about the customer. We could use a lot of analytics and data science to solve customer problem or customize things. Then again, in the media industry, from Netflix to Disney. So I've earlier worked for Disney Star TV. Now it's Sony. We again have a lot of customer data, and we also have a platform at OTT platform at Sony where we have data about 100 and 200 million of users, right? So definitely another brilliant industry for data science. And other than these 3-4 industries, interestingly, data science has not been used as much as it can be. Because if you think about it, most of the industries will have a lot of data, if not now going forward. And definitely, if you can have the data to make a decision, is good to probably at least refer to the data or use some models instead of just going blind based on our judgment and heuristics. So definitely going forward, I think many more industries will use it. So one first industry that is going to use it a lot will be finance industry. We already see the development in terms of blockchain, cryptocurrency, etc. But fintech is going to have huge impact overall. And finance industry is one industry which has a lot of data, but not used enough data science yet, right? So that is another opportunity. But definitely that's not all. I think every other industry will have a lot of application of data science. So coming to civil engineering, I think civil does a lot of work with the manufacturing, but also probably creating the building and architecture and creating roads and infrastructure and all, right? So a lot of data science can be used. For example, if you're creating a building or creating a road, then if you're doing some construction project, you can definitely collect a lot of data using a drone or some camera. Using that, you can do a lot of analysis. I think robotics can also have a lot of application. And just think about it, once the data is captured, if you can monitor the data and the data comes to you in a file, and you can create now a model on top of that, okay, what is the completion rate of my construction? Is there any problem? Is the weather playing any impact on my construction? So a lot of different use cases can be there. Of course, that's the domain knowledge is very important. As I mentioned, I think both of us are not from the civil engineering background, but some of you who are from civil engineering, you will know what are the use cases. But from the data science perspective, it will be either a regression problem, classification problem, or recommendation problem, right? So you need to get the right kind of data set, identify what problem is it, and then use an AutoML tool or use your Python code to process it. So I definitely think in civil also there can be huge impact of it. And not just civil, I think in manufacturing shop floor, to government, to agriculture. Just think about this example, right? In tomorrow's world, I think even for agriculture, there'll be probably a drone which will capture all that data from satellite. We can data about soil moisture, air quality, what is the condition of the crop and all of that. And then when needed, you can set robots controlled by a computer and algorithm, which will go and till the field. So I think that is the future we see. And in that case, I don't think any industry will be left behind. And definitely all industries will have lots and lot of application of AI ML.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I totally agree. I'll just share one piece. I was speaking with a professor at the University of Texas, and he was developing different designs for buildings. So traditionally, you'd think of an apartment complex where only the people on the outside have windows, right? So how can we create a building that brings in natural light to all of the apartments, even to the ones on the inside? And so there's different configurations of walls and windows and slants that you can do, right? So you could develop potentially a model, a classification model to help create these designs as well. So just wanted to share that one because I thought it was fairly interesting. All right, let's take a look here. Can we use data science in mechatronics? I'm not as familiar in that field as well, but I think to your point, you know, there's definitely opportunity to use data science depending on the domain expertise as well. All right, let's see. About processing time, how many register had that data set? I don't quite understand that question from Satya.
I think he's probably asking you about the PS5 data set that you used. So probably he's asking how many rows and columns you had in that, approximately some numbers.
Sure, let me just pull up the exploratory data analysis.
It's a 390 rows. It's a small data set.
Yeah, so it was a pretty small data set.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you also have the facility to use cloud, and based on the size of the data or the processing, it can spin up a larger cluster or GPU to process larger volume of data as well, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
We had data sets of even 10 million rows for the production models. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then there's a question, so we'll be able to customize it as well. So if I can interpret the question, depending on the problem that you're trying to solve, you can pull in different features or different pieces of information that you're collecting and customize the model to help solve the problem. In coming years, can this tool replace data scientists? This is a common question, whether it be for AI or automation, right? Okay, if we bring in automation, do we lose the workers? In fact, no. What we see is it allows individuals to work on higher value add tasks rather than having to kind of, just, look at a piece of paper and then type it into an Excel sheet. Okay, now we can scan it and it automatically turns it into a digital format, right? So, that won't necessarily, make that individual be replaced, but now they can upskill and reskill and go into new fields. So I don't think data scientists are going anywhere soon.
Thanks so much, Andrew.
Yeah.
I think I was feeling very scared after seeing the question. And your answer consoled me. So thank you very much for your, kind answer. But yeah, I think that is a question I think we human beings always have. I think when in early 1800, we had the Industrial Revolution 1.0. And that is the time, I think we're not working with the machines just today, right? That is the time when machines started taking over, right? So even from creating cars to creating clothes to creating soaps, for all kind of application, we started using machines. And factories are nothing but, a place where machines are, are automating and creating things. So even at that time, I think people had this worry that if machines create all these things which humans used to create with hand, what will happen? Where will we go? But fact is that we have seen that has actually helped us improve our lifestyle. We can now afford clothing, food, and other things which at one point of time only kings and queens of the world could afford, right? So definitely automation and machines have helped us a lot. And I think same will happen with AI, ML, data science. But yes, with the same thing, if people don't upgrade, they don't learn new skill, right? So I'm sure data science will be there, data scientist will be there. but the kind of skill they'll need, kind of problems they'll solve, that will evolve, right? So probably 10 years back, if you could just get 100 rows of data and create a very simple Python program copied from Google, that was enough for data science. But that is not true today, right? So as Andrew rightly pointed out, there will be tasks where you need more customization, you need personalization, you need more advanced algorithm, or you need to create the algorithm from scratch, right? So where automation will happen, where it is more standardized, you have the data in the standard format, this is a classification or a regression problem, and that is when you can use a tool like Newton to solve it. But if I tell you, hey, I have a platform where I have a lot of content and I want to recommend content to you, so what model can you use, right? So it's not a standard problem to be solved, right? Or if you want to just monitor some place to find some anomaly detection, or you want to do some, fraud detection. So there are a lot of problems where it is not very straightforward. It depends on the domain. It depends on the features. Sometimes you have to develop original algorithms. And that is when I think data scientists will become more valuable. But for a lot of other use cases, which are very standardized, I think a lot of automation will happen. And that is definitely most welcome.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, I mean, I love that historical reference and all of the different, industrial revolutions that we're going through and digital revolutions. Very interesting. Next one, how ML is used in mechanical industries. Is machine learning and data science useful in getting jobs in companies working on autonomous vehicles?
Definitely. I think self-driving car is probably one of the most exciting field. I think Google has done a lot of work there, Uber has done, and now I think even traditional players like GM and also have a division where I think GM is coming up with GM Cruise in some of the US cities, and Tesla also has a lot of autopilot and self-driving feature being implemented. I saw some car company in Middle East and China, they're also having flying self-driving taxis or cars. I don't know what do you call them, but very exciting. And a lot of data science and AIML goes into the picture from the time of capturing the image data, processing the image data, then taking the decision whether the car should move left or right. There is also very interesting application of reinforcement learning, where the car learns on its own where to go, whether to go left, right, whether to accelerate or press the brake and all of that. And definitely, I think it will take some more time. However, we will see at some point of time, maybe after 5, 10, 20 years, self-driving car. And definitely that's a very exciting field for data science. And definitely one person asked AIML, is it a good field for career? I think Andrew, you are in San Francisco, you know very well how the situation is. I think now the demand is surpassing the supply, right? There's huge demand for data science talent, and there is a crunch of talent, good talent, right? And to quote some numbers, I think Glassdoor does a survey every year that which are the best roles, especially in US, since a lot of data about US is available. So from 2016 to 19 or 20, data scientist was ranked the #1 job in US with an average salary of $120,000 US, right? So that's a good amount. And I think even now it is one of the top 3 or top 5. So definitely data science, AIML are the top skills and probably the best skills for job market. So definitely do consider it. If you have the skills or if you can develop those skills, I think you'll have a brilliant career there.
Yep. And then, yeah, thank you for that. So rate analysis is construction cost estimate. So yeah, absolutely. That's actually one of the use cases that we're working on with our customers. Hey, we've got, the images from the building that we want to create. And then we have all of the historical data of the different vendors that we've used to build out different types of projects. It could be all kinds of different construction pieces, whether it's buildings or bridges or roads. So you can take that historical data and build out those predictions for sure. And then we have a question from LinkedIn: how to choose a platform for data science. Currently, I'm in digital marketing field, and I'm thinking I'd want to grow my knowledge in data science. So what would you suggest for beginners in data science? Definitely you can check out Newton, but I'm sure you also have some other platforms you had mentioned, H2O, Google as well. But yeah, I mean, Newton is very easy to use. So if you're looking at digital marketing and you want to do looking at like next best offer or different things like that, definitely explore the platform, reach out to us. We can help you get started as well. And then also there's the different platforms you had mentioned for learning, like Coursera and things like that as well. So or YouTube, there's lots of free options available out there to get started.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So I think there is a question on skills. So we have discussed in detail. I'll not again discuss in detail, but I'll briefly repeat the main points. So there are 3 core skills, or more hard skills that you need to learn. Mathematics and statistics, number 1. Computer programming, number 2. And within computer programming, if you are a beginner, please learn Python or R, right? And number 3 is the business or domain knowledge. And other than that, as Andrew and I discussed, there are some soft skills which are also very useful. They are communication, problem solving, and continuous learning. So these are the broadly skill set, but within that, mathematics, statistics, and computer programming are considered to be the most important skill set for a data scientist role in the industry.
Sure. We have one individual coming from the insurance domain looking for a transition to data science. So what would we suggest as a guide for those aspiring data scientists?
So if you
I think that's the theme today, right?
Yeah. So I think if you are from insurance domain, it is good, right? Because as we mentioned, and Andrew also mentioned, that you have a lot of domain knowledge in insurance and in your industry, right? So that is going to be extremely critical, because I will not know, what are the business use cases in insurance, or what are the different important variables. You will probably have better knowledge than us. So definitely capitalize on your business or domain knowledge. That is your strength. But you need to have the other skills which are also required. So if you don't know computer programming, please go learn Python. If you should get some knowledge on mathematics and statistics, especially as I mentioned, descriptive, inferential statistics, and probability theory. So these are like must have. Without that, if you are going to data science, you will become like a doctor who is like, of course, degree is not important, but if the doctor doesn't know how to do surgery and don't know any of the tools, and they try to go and do the surgery, you can understand what will be the consequences. So these are some very basic tools, like a computer programming language like Python, and basic of statistics. So please learn those, use your domain knowledge as your strength, and then try to get a project probably within your own company where they are looking for someone to do some data science work for your own use case, right? And say, hey, I learned Python, I have learned statistics, I know insurance, let me do this project. That will be a very good starting point. And once you have done that, probably if you are looking out, you can use those project example and experience also to apply outside.
Yeah, it's all about the business use case and applying it to a problem to show that you've done that, right? Just knowing Python's not going to do a lot for you. You're being able to show that you've applied it even with your own personal experience. So thanks for that. So yeah, from Soham Sharma, one of our great friends over from Zipline, who helped us with our 2-week kind of data science boot camp. What are all the skills necessary to be a data science expert? I think you showcased those from the mathematical skills, the soft skills, and the tools. So I think we're covered on that one. Is it possible to become a data science without good knowledge of business, in particular having hard and soft skills? Is it enough to begin working?
So definitely, yeah, please, Andrew, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'll also let you answer as well. I mean, we have to start somewhere, right? I mean, we can go through our education. Once we've done that, we kind of jump out and we don't really know. There's definitely accelerators and things that you can do while you're in school to be able to get real world opportunities. One of the partners we have, Silicon Valley for You, they help students get internships while they're in school and learn extracurricular activities to get those internships. So, it can help, but, when, we're just jumping into it, that's where you're going to start learning when you start, depending on what industry you're interested in, depending on what business line that you're going into. So I mean, it's not necessary, but it definitely helps if you have some things under your belt, for sure. But I would love to hear your perspective as well.
No, completely. I completely agree with you on this point. So I think when you study things in school or college, that definitely helps, right? So I did my MBA in marketing, so that definitely gave me some knowledge of marketing. But as we mentioned, especially on the business and domain knowledge front, practical experience teaches you a lot, which a classroom or textbook cannot teach. So I also did not believe it at one point of time when I was doing my PhD. I thought I've read all the books and the research papers and journals and publications. So I thought I know everything, but no, that's not the case. Once you work in the industry, you learn much more. So definitely having some knowledge will help. But even if you don't have all the knowledge of business or domain, it's okay. As Andrew mentioned, that you please go, jump in, try to get that experience. And to accelerate it, as he mentioned, you can choose some accelerator, or alternatively, you can do some project or you can do some internship, right? In the area of industry or domain that interests you, please do some project or internship. That will definitely help you.
All right, so we have data science intern at Sparks Foundation, how to get employment opportunities as a fresher in the field of data science, analytics, ML. I think we covered that as well.
Yeah.
Like any software developer, have a design architecture for themselves. So is there any design pattern or folder structure should follow as a beginner data scientist? So we can make our model building and validate part faster as soon as possible. We will make our system in production mode. Yeah, I mean, it's the way you prepare your data is important, right? Of course, with Newton, having your data in structured format is extremely important and can help. You can have missing values, and we do some data pre-processing and things like that. But in reality, in the world of data, nothing is as clean and clear as we hope it is as an Excel sheet, right? So maybe if you just want to elaborate a little bit on your experience on kind of working with data, that would be great, I think.
Definitely, I think one statistic that I should mention is that when you're getting into data science, most of the courses will teach you just building the model and creating deep learning network, etc. But in my practical experience, most of the time 60 to 80% time is spent on understanding the problem, gathering the data, and the cleaning the data. And like there can be all kind of things that the data is not there, data quality is not good. There might be standard things like missing data or outlier. Those are still easier to handle, but there can be things like somebody wrote a field like NA, somebody wrote not applicable, somebody just wrote N.A, and computer understands them completely differently, right? So so it's altogether a different problem, but it takes a lot of time and effort. And to the question of Nikhil, that should he have a folder structure and organization? Yes, I think definitely being organized and having structure helps, but there is no one structure that all data scientists need to follow. But you can get some good practices from the people who are doing it best. So I recommend you. So there are GitHub profiles of top companies, right? Say from Google, Facebook, or many other companies. For many of their projects, they have GitHub repos. And in the GitHub repo, they put in the folder structure. So there may be a README file in the home. Then they'll have a data folder. Probably there is a training folder. There's a test folder, some other folder, right? So please go get some inspiration from there. But ultimately, it's up to you. How do you want to organize it? But definitely be organized. Otherwise, it will become messy after a point of time. But you can follow your own organization structure, and please be organized.
Yeah, and just one last note, I think we can close out the conversation with that being said. We kind of seen that organizations are across different maturity levels, right? And when you look at maybe some of the most advanced, maturity, enterprises, they're even challenged on how to deal with their data governance, right? And there's definitely platforms out there addressing how to manage all of our Jupyter notebooks and all the data science work that we're doing and things like that. But just kind of from what I've seen is individually, yes, how can we become more organized, right? But then as we look to scale, what are the different tools and things that we can do to organize all of those things so that we're more effective as a team, right? So, you know, I think that's definitely something that I see as more coming in the future is, you know, if you have a data science team of 300, right, that's a whole different story than if you're just a couple of, you know, data analysts and data scientists too. So I'm very interested to see where that, you know, data governance and, you know, ML ops kind of strategies come into play too. And then lastly, we recently had another AI talent lab with data and analytics director from Microsoft. And he spent 3 years collecting data on customer satisfaction to create a model. So to that point of organization, you know, it's always something that we can do better is collecting the data, organizing it, making sure that we can store it and use it in some ways. So thank you, Dr. AngShu. Really appreciate all of the time and insights that you provided with us today. Thank you to all of the participants. Awesome questions today. Super stoked. Was a really, really fun session. Appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you, Andrew, as well. And I'm coming to say you very good news, actually. And the first news that, according to your point about the data collection and data cleaning, we will have the next session next week dedicated to this topic: how to clean data, how to prepare it. We discussed it a lot during our session, and I think if you're interested in this, please join us next week. The second very good news: today we have a book giveaway, and everybody who were watching us today, thank you so much. Apart that you got a lot of knowledge and tips from Dr. AngShuMan and Andrew, we will reward you by book, and we will make this book giveaway after this session, and we will upload the results in our Slack channel. I will just leave the link how to connect to our Slack channel community that is growing, and you can not only to see the results of our book giveaway, but also to share the knowledge, to ask our team, to ask our speakers, and grow and boost your career. So please join. We will upload these results after this session. And as I promised, our previous IE Talent Lab session, we had a giveaway of CV, personal CV validation. And I will share with you now the results. Let me share my screen. So yeah, 1 second. Yeah, meanwhile, I think you can see my screen is just our QR code to try our platform if you would like to. It's for free. And let me make it bigger. Okay. So our winner today is Weston Hoges. I'm not sure if I pronounce your surname correctly, but congratulations. You won your CV validation service. We will give you the all details by email, and you can connect with Chris from iGuild, who will provide you this service. Please, everybody, applause to our winner. Yeah, even me, I want this. I want this service too. Why I cannot participate? Yeah, and for you guys who were with us today, this morning, I don't know what time do you have. I will share also the prize from our sponsor, Pact, who will provide this book for you guys. Please be attend to our news in the Slack channel. You can receive this amazing book from Pact about Python and Power BI. So please join the Slack. These few days, after few days, we will upload the results, and join us also next week. And I hope that you have enjoyed this session. If you have more questions, you can ask us. I hope Dr. AngShuMan also will be attend to your question in our LinkedIn page, and you LinkedIn page. Please follow him. He's amazing leader industry experts who can share with you amazing knowledge and tips. Please also follow us. I wish you the best, and to start your career or to boost your career in this new year, and be the professional, the best one. So thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
If you have more questions, please send us personally to Slack channel, to LinkedIn. We are always 24 hours for you.
Thank you, Yulia, Newton, Andrew, and everyone, and all the best to all of you. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.